Yo, we are live. What's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It is Goal Line Hockey Live number 9. Tonight's game is the Buffalo Sabres and the Edmonton Oilers. Guys, I apologize for the delay. You guys are awesome. Shout out to Urban, Ali Dash, and PJ. And you guys are the best. Welcome to the chat, guys. Um, yeah, we had some issues tonight. And we're gonna be here for the end of the first period at least. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on that I want to get to with you guys. We're gonna talk about some stuff that needs to get done. Um, Shout out to PJ. Kev, burn that Oilers jersey. No, I will not. I'm cheering for the Oilers tonight, not only for the way you guys are so against the Oilers uh, here in our chat. A lot of you guys are Mick overrated. Dreisaitl's not good. I have my thoughts about the Oilers. Guys, if you can real quick, let me know how is the video quality and how is the audio. Let me know down below. Yeah, I know, PJ. I know. Let me know down below because it seems like a bunch of you jumped in and then you guys jumped out. Thank you, PJ. It's good. Um, so it looks like so far it's been a pretty good game. I had to finish my workout. Um, kind of a weird day for me. Things were all thrown off. My room is a mess. Not really thrilled with that. And I have some good news for you and pretty good quality. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Um, so there's a lot I want to talk about, specifically with the Oilers and the Sabres. And if you guys haven't already watched, yes, PJ, I'm going to get to that in a second. The Sabres and the Oilers, we're going to be mainly focusing on that today. Make sure to check out, I posted an Oilers video the other day talking about is their defense good enough for a long championship run? And, of course, as the clickbaity title kind of instates, there's a little bit more to it than just the defense. So there's a lot that we have to get to on the Oilers. The Sabres, it's a little bit different for the Oilers, for the Sabres, because, the way I think of the Sabres right now, the most surprising thing is basically the way they've kind of handled the deadline and kind of looking like a buyer. So we're going to take a look at the Sabres' plans moving forward. I'm really excited to see what happens there. So the next question, which is PJ, guys, I am proud to announce two things. The first thing, my first ever Amazon order that the day I ordered it, it was at my door on Saturday. Saturday morning, I ordered it, and Saturday afternoon, when I got back from the Islanders game, it was on my front porch. Shout out to our first ever funded equipment. Shout out to PJ, as we have the PJ Stream Deck soundboard. Guys, thank you so much to PJ. He gave us a bunch of big super chats last week. Yes, and this is the PJ soundboard and a little bit of Ali Dash because he helped finish it out. But shout out to you guys. Like I say, guys, if you guys are going to support the channel, I'm going to add to the quality of the stream. We've had some issues here with the actual quality of the stream not being that great all of the time, and the connection, and trying to do things that are going to enhance your guys' experience here on Goal Line Hockey. So as much as it's about my time and energy spent, and getting the donations for that, it's also I'm going to contribute to you guys here. So thank you so much, PJ. Thank you so much, Ali Dash. There's a couple of you guys that have super chatted in the past. Guys, thank you so much for that. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. I will give back to the channel in any way that I can. So with that out of the way, this game, it seems like we're getting into the intermission of this period. And, kind of looking at this game so far, it's been a pretty good game for both teams. This is an important game for both teams. The Oilers have struggled a little bit, kind of falling, into purgatory of maybe missing the playoffs. The Sabres are out of the playoffs, trying to sneak into one of those wild card spots. With the way Tampa's been playing, it's kind of looking like they could even jump into that third wild card spot, which I don't think anybody really wants. But maybe overplaying the Boston Bruins, maybe you would rather play Toronto. But maybe we'll talk about the Lightning at some point here because they've had an interesting week to say the least with what they did Saturday and with how they've played recently. They followed that up with a really bad performance on Sunday against Carolina. The Lightning are a team to watch here. And shout out to Greg Anderson, 19 saves already in the first period. My goodness. The Oilers are playing well so far. So, let's get into what you guys are saying here in the chat. Shout out to PJ. He said, let's call it the Kev soundboard instead. His hard work and excellent content creation is the reason myself and others donate to his channel. Thank you, PJ. But I agree here with Ali Desh in disagreeing with you because I think it's worth calling it the PJ soundboard. That was really, really something that meant a lot to me, PJ. Maybe more than you realize, but you guys are the best. And I have it right here. It's not actually set up. I still have to set it up, but it is here, and you guys are able to see it. Yeah, the PJ soundboard. I think it just makes sense. So really not much happening here so far in the sense of a ton of goals, which the Sabres are a team that does score a lot of goals. So this should be kind of an interesting thing to watch for moving forward. I want to see the Oilers defense play a little bit better. They've given up 15 shots tonight, so it seems a little bit counterintuitive with what they maybe want to be doing a little bit better defensively. But nonetheless, a pretty good start for maybe both teams, right? This is kind of playoff hockey for these two teams in the sense that they're trying to get ready for playoffs. They're in playoff form, and so now we're at the end of the period. Honestly, this is a big hockey game, and specifically for the Sabres, trying to build that confidence, trying to get themselves back into the playoffs is a big game for them. So we're gonna watch the Calgary Flames and Dallas Stars in the meantime here, and let's see what's going on in this one. And I'm using ESPN Plus because I bought it the other day for the trade deadline coverage. So we'll see how this works out. This could be kind of interesting. They're talking about the Calgary Flames' massive Brett Ritchie for Nick Ritchie trade with Troy Stetcher and Connor Mackey. I did predict that they were going to trade Connor Mackey, just not exactly the way I thought it would be. Yeah, Urban says, I love ESPN Plus. That's why I have it. Yes, that's a good point. I don't like their actual broadcasts that they have, but I do like the way it's been I kind of look at ESPN Plus as there's some things that I like about it, and there's a lot of things that I actually don't like about it. And you guys have talked about that in the past, but as of right now, I can't really say much. It's definitely so far, I only bought the 1 month subscription, so we'll see how this goes. But at this point, it hasn't been that bad, and we'll see. Obviously, I like their trade deadline coverage, their free agency coverage, and we'll probably be going over those things. PJ says, Kev, what do you think of the trade that the Flames made, brother for brother? Me personally, I'm not too high on Nick Ritchie. He takes a lot of penalties and is inconsistent. Well, I think the most lost thing of that deal is the fact that it's a brother for brother trade. Why wouldn't you try to keep them together? I think that's the weirdest part of the deal. I don't think we've ever seen that before. They'll probably just exchange houses with each other, at least for the next couple of weeks, to see kind of how things go. It definitely a puzzling move. I don't know. I get the idea that they wanted I get Stetcher being a good fit in Calgary and Nick Ritchie, but I don't know, just a weird move in my opinion. Personally, I would hate to play on the same team as my brother, and that's Ali Dash. Okay. I don't know. It depends on your relationship, I guess, with your brother, right? I guess that's kind of how you have to look at it, but definitely kind of a puzzling move. Like I said, definitely not what I expected the Calgary Flames to do at the deadline. I expected them to maybe be a little bit more either aggressive one way or the other, either selling off or trying to get better. But they definitely stayed pretty much as conservative as possible with the moves that they made. And some of these commercials are really weird. They have the weird Cheez It commercial. The commercials in 2023 are just very puzzling to me. Um, in my thoughts on the Oilers and the Sabres, honestly, I think that the Sabres look pretty good. I think Jordan Greenway was a good addition for the Sabres. He's a guy that's going to add some help to this team. Maybe, I think teams were, Kevin Adams said this in his press conference the other day after the deadline. He said, we kind of got bullied around a little bit. And I think that adding a guy like Greenway, he's got some term on his deal, so he's not a pure rental. It's a perfect fit there in the sense for the Sabres. He had some depth up front. And like I said, he's a big dude. And I think that the Sabres are looking at him as that kind of guy. With that said, there is the offensive potential from Jordan Greenway, but I don't know how much you're really bringing him in for that, right? So, I think there's things to like about the deal. I think they gave up a lot. I think Urban's happy with the package that they got for Jordan Greenway, a second and a fourth or a second and a fifth round pick. So maybe in that sense, it was a lot for the Sabres, but like I said, nonetheless, Jordan Greenway, a good pickup there. Yo, we got a super chat from PJ, $6.99 Canadian. Thank you, PJ. He says, nothing makes me happier than watching a goal line hockey live stream. As a hockey fan, I really appreciate your knowledge on this sport and overall content 100%. Thank you so much, PJ. I really do appreciate that, as I do all your guys' donations. Thank you so much. Ali Desh says, towards the end of Saku Koivu's career, people were asking him if he'd go to Mini to play with his brother, and he said, no, that's my bro's team. He's the captain. Don't want to steal on his toes. Okay. And Saku Koivu, Mikko Koivu, a really good group of guys there. Shout out to them. Really good hockey players back in the day. Step on his toes. Okay, that's what you meant. That's what I was going to say. I'm like, did he mean to say that, or is that the actual quote? So the Flames 0-3-2 in their past 5 games. So they've done pretty much everything but win. Damn. Yeah, not a really good spot here for the Flames. And maybe that's why they were quiet at the deadline, right? I think Brad Treliving saw what the Flames have done and said, we're not really going to buy here. It doesn't make sense for us to go out and get more players. That's where I think the Flames really fell flat. Like we were hearing maybe Elias Lindholm getting traded back to Carolina or some weird stuff like that, Mikael Backlund, but nothing really transpired for them. Yeah, Urban said getting Huberdeau looks so bad now. And I got to say, that whole situation, I'm not a huge fan of that. I know Alan Walsh is a GM or agent that is for the players, but I'm really not a fan of the way he handles things, especially with the Fleury thing a couple years ago, the backstabbing Photoshop with him and that whole situation, the whole thing with just the way they handled this whole thing with Huberdeau, not the head coach to do it with Daryl Sutter there. He doesn't take any of that BS. Yo, welcome to the chat. Shazam, he says, Big Kev, Isles have a must-win tomorrow night. Go Oil tonight. And he's talking about, shout out to Shazam. He's talking about for the Islanders, we want the Sabres to lose tonight. And that's why I'm wearing an Oilers jersey, Shazam. Shout out to you joining the chat. Yeah, I think Huberdeau is he needs to be better, right? Like, I understand the frustration and things like that. But there's no other way to put this. They need to be better. And he is getting paid like a star player. Hubie Snacks is not playing like a star player. There's just no way around that. So that is something that has to improve for this team. And like I said, I think right now, if you're looking at this thing, the whole situation around Huberdeau, there's no other way to put it. He can talk when he gets better as a player. I noticed the threads. Come on, Mick Jesus. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Shazam. Welcome to the chat. big supporter on the channel. Shout out to you. And guys, if you have not already, make sure to like the video. We've got 5 likes already. Shout out to you guys from the trade deadline coverage. Those videos, it was 2 videos because we had some audio issues in the beginning, but you guys are the best. I'm going to give you guys some stats on those 2 streams we did, the pair of streams. Incredible, incredible. Obviously it's kind of vanity metrics when you look at it, but the likes and some of the stuff that you guys did, absolutely incredible. We had 516 views over those 2 videos. And how many likes did we have? We had, I want to say, over 50 likes. 37 likes plus 50. So we had 87 over 80. So we had 87 likes and over 500 views on those 2 live streams, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are incredible. And we had a couple of big super chats as well, which really helped the channel out. Goddamn, guys, you are the best. Yeah, Urban said he makes more than Ovechkin, Kaprizov, and Crosby. Yeah, Huberdeau should be playing a lot better. And considering his salary, like you said, he gets paid like a superstar, and he hasn't played like a superstar. He hasn't played to the level that he should be really talking right now. PJ says, as a Flames fan, I wish we never traded for him. I wish we traded Tkachuk to Dallas because apparently they were going to offer Robertson in return. Whoa. I didn't know that. That's a pretty big package there in return. Yeah, and like Shazam mentioned earlier, the Islanders play a big one tomorrow night against these Buffalo Sabres. So the Sabres playing the first of a back-to-back tonight. Pretty big situation here for the Sabres this week. The Islanders as well. The next couple games for the Islanders, they play Buffalo tomorrow night, Pittsburgh on Thursday. I was trying so hard to go to that game. Wasn't going to happen, unfortunately. I might be going to Pittsburgh in April. I'll mention that when it kind of becomes more clear. They play Pittsburgh on Thursday. Then they play Washington on Saturday. I will be at that game at UBS Arena on Saturday. And then they play Ottawa again next week. Shout out to Ali Desh. And then they play Pittsburgh again, I believe, or Washington again next week. So a huge stretch here for the New York Islanders over the next couple of games. They played Detroit the other night. I did go to that matinee against the Detroit Red Wings. That was a huge win for the Islanders. And Shazam says, I hear Pajot is in for tomorrow night. Yeah, apparently he was back in practice this morning and yesterday. So that's really good, really promising. So we'll see what happens with Pajot. I'm really hoping he's back for the Islanders. Which Eastern wildcard team can make the playoffs? And they're kind of showing Sabres highlights. The Senators are going to be in it. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. The Sabres, I got to say, I don't want, in all honesty, I always talk about, I kind of say I'm always right. I'm kind of right on this one too. We talked about, who can make the playoffs this year, Red Wings or Sabres. Right now, it's looking like the Sabres, and I was kind of right on that. And Craig Anderson's experience in the league is paying off for them dearly right now. And the Sabres took a lot of flack for bringing in Craig Anderson last summer, but as of right now, Craig Anderson in between the pipes is paying dividends for the Buffalo Sabres, and it's kind of the reason they're still in the playoff hunt right now. I hope the Senators make the playoffs. I like the Flames with Iginla along. He slaughtered my Wild. Yep. Oh, PJ says, I have a signed Iginla puck. He personally signed it in front of me and threw it over the glass. I will never forget that. That is awesome. Yeah, Iggy was a huge guy in Calgary for many, many years. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Urban said Anderson is playing the best hockey of his career, and he's 41 years old. Listen, Craig Anderson is the moves Kevin Adams has made with the Sabres the last couple of years, really paying dividends right now. The Tage Thompson deal, Craig Anderson, some moves he's made, it's looked pretty good for them. The Western Conference playoff picture, pretty interesting too. Again, if the Oilers or the Jets fall out, that would be big. If one of those two teams fell out, giving some hope to Calgary here. We'll see kind of how things, you know, kind of go here over the next couple of weeks. Guys, this is really exciting in the NHL time. From the trade deadline to the end of the season, these guys are motivated. This is playoff hockey for the teams trying to just sneak into the playoffs and having that playoff mentality. This is a huge stretch for some of those teams out there. I don't think the Sharks. Let me see. What games are even on right now? Senators, Blackhawks, maybe? At some point, guys, we have to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning because the Lightning have completely fallen off. Um, their last couple of games, it's been pretty brutal. It was a brutal month of February for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Um, 3-2, 3-3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so they are currently on a 5-game losing streak, are the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you look at some of the teams they've lost to: Carolina, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Florida, and Pittsburgh. So they've had 2 losses against Pittsburgh, Florida, Buffalo, and Carolina. That's not good enough. And the Tampa Bay Lightning Saturday, if you guys didn't know, their top line of Kucherov, I'm trying to remember who was on that line. Kucherov, Stamkos, and I want to say Braden Point or one of those guys. I don't remember the third guy on that line. They did not play a shift in the third period. And as an Islanders fan, I'm like, come on, John Cooper. Do you have to do this against the Sabres, a team the Islanders are fighting with in the playoffs? But I mean, the way that the Lightning have kind of fallen off here is really concerning if you're a Lightning fan. And I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but they right now are on the verge of flirting with a wild card spot. As crazy as that sounds, the way Tampa has been playing, there is a chance that Ottawa, Buffalo, Detroit, one of those teams can catch them for a wild card spot or even third in that division. As crazy as it sounds today, if they continue to play the way they have, it is going to be very concerning for this team. And yeah, Ali Dash said Detroit's not catching anyone. I agree. But at the very least, Ottawa and Buffalo. And the second you start to get into that wild card territory, if you're Tampa, even if it's not one of those teams, right? Even if it's one of those teams, then if you fall to a wild card spot, now you're playing with the Islanders, the Twins, and any other team that's still trying to get in. It could be really, really, really bad times in Tampa Bay if they miss the playoffs this year. And I know those picks are protected for Tampa and things like that. Pretty sure they are. I hope they are. But man, that could be really concerning. Yeah, the Sabres and the Senators are playing really well right now. Yeah, I think for the Red Wings, though, that loss the other day against the Islanders really hurt for them. That was a tough loss for them. It put them 7 points back of the Islanders. They could have really gained some ground. That was a tough one for them. Shazam says the Rangers are just 7 points up on the Isles and not looking good in their own zone at all. Yes, yeah, Shazam brings up a really good point. The Rangers have not played well either. They had that really bad West Coast road trip. They really struggled in that one. And now coming back home, they've really not played well. They lost to the Capitals. They lost to the Senators. The Rangers are another team that, like Tampa Bay, that third team in the division in the Eastern Conference. Tampa and the Rangers both are on the verge of flirting with wild card territory with the way they've been playing. They've got a lot of ground to gain, but really concerning for both of those teams that are in win now mode. The Devils have really gained a lot of ground on the Rangers, and I'm kind of speechless because what looked like a lock for Devils Rangers first round really doesn't look like the case anymore. And thank you, Ali Dash. Yes, we are watching the Oilers Sabres second period. And Shazam said they needed a couple of solid two-way forwards, not Kane. That's a great point, Shazam. They also are experiencing a lot of issues with defense. The other night, they played five defensemen because Keandre Miller is suspended. Ryan Lindgren still not healthy 100%. And I think that you're seeing some of the issues with some of the moves the Rangers made. I'm not saying that Jeff Gorton made bad moves necessarily. Yeah, five defensemen and 11 forwards. And they had to call up Zach Jones just to get healthy, right? So this is one of those things where going out and getting Kane might come back to bite the Rangers. We'll see how things play out. But sometimes the best moves are the moves you don't make. And I wonder if the Rangers are flirting with some of the moves coming back to haunt them at the end of the season. So, again, none of this matters if the Rangers make the playoffs and win a round or two. Nobody's talking about this. But we always say this: defense wins championships, goalies steal you games, defense wins championships. And as of right now, I'm not sold on the Rangers defense. Urban says five. Yeah. What else are you guys saying? Guys, don't be afraid to drop your thoughts in the chat. I'll try and answer as many of them as I can. And I love that pickup by the Oilers bringing in Ekholm and Nick Bukestad. Those were two really good pickups by Kenny Holland. The Sabres have really surprised me. They've beaten to they that other than that game a couple weeks ago against the Leafs where they got kind of the doors blown off of them in Buffalo. The Sabres, other than that, have been really good. Middlestat with a great chance. Wow. Draisaitl with a good play defensively in his own zone. Listen, he gets a lot of crap for playing his own zone. That was a pretty good play there. Shazam said Kane didn't address their needs. Great player, now not what they needed. Exactly. Honestly, credit to some of the Ranger fans out there. They did say, "Listen, I'm excited for Kane, but that's not what we need. We need help defensively." A lot of Ranger fans did call that out. Of course, there were the Ranger fans that were on the bandwagon and excited, but that's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Because as much as everyone said how they are a juggernaut, maybe not as much as we maybe thought they would be. Ali Dash says, "Did you guys know the top five scorers in the league since January 5th? McDavid, Point, Draisaitl, Giroux, and Timmy Stützle." Wow. Giroux and Stützle. Yeah, those two guys have played really well for the Senators. And, we're seeing the leadership from Kachuk there. Chikrin, shout out to Jacob Chikrin scoring his first goal as a Senator. A nice little shot. Pretty far out shot. That just shows you the fast, the speed of that shot by Chikrin. Gets his first goal with the Senators in Ottawa. Really nice to see that. Shazam also says Bruins are a juggernaut, no one else. Yeah. And I've been saying that for a while. And some of the guys in the chat were saying the other day, Kevin, you jinx the Bruins. But listen, I think it's going to take a lot more than a Kevin jinx at this point for the Boston Bruins. Even a President's Trophy jinx, a Kevin jinx, whatever it is. It's ridiculous how good they've been. And now you add Bertuzzi, Hathaway, and the next Bobby Orr and Dmitry Orlov. Orlov, everybody's been saying Orlov's always been good. He was an Islanders killer. He's a really good player. He's just getting noticed more right now with the Bruins, but he's always been a good defenseman in Washington, and I think it's kind of funny how people are all of a sudden noticing him now in Boston. I think the same thing's going to happen with Hathaway and Bertuzzi. I think they're just guys that have been maybe a little underrated in their current places, and they're going to get noticed more with the Bruins. The Bruins fans are going to love all three of those guys, and now we're starting to see that. Hathaway, Bertuzzi, just tough guys to play against. And Orlov will score a power play. He will score a goal in overtime. He's been really good at that in Washington over his career. He scores a lot of goals on the power play, a lot of goals in overtime. He is just that guy that you need in the playoffs. That was a great pickup again by Don Sweeney, and he's done that over his career in Boston. Between the Rick Nash trade, which other than Lindgren looks like a pretty good deal, they traded Donato out for Charlie Coyle. That looks like a pretty good deal moving forward. Oh, the Sabres. Stuart Skinner, this is a big game for him. He really has to play well. This is I keep saying it, but this is a huge game for the Sabres and the Oilers. Good test, a little bit less pressure because it's out of conference. It's not necessarily a 4-point game, but nonetheless, it's a pretty big hockey game for both of these teams. Skinner trying to gain some confidence. He's definitely flourished considering where he's been in his career, is Stuart Skinner, but he's definitely got to get a little bit better if the Sabres really want to be a juggernaut. PJ says, I hope Stuart Skinner lets in 7 goals and gets pulled. We'll see. And Tage Thompson, 42 goals this season. If he gets 50 this year, that would be great. I'd love to see that. Maybe not make the playoffs over the Islanders, but I'd love to see him hit 50 goals this year. And the Sabres defensively, their structure just looks a lot better. And I know Don Granato, shout out to the Sabres head coach, but kind of bad news. Oh, man. And the Oilers score. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and the Oilers take the 2-1 lead. Defensive breakdown there by the Sabres. The puck kind of wandered in front and just kind of a mess up there. Welcome to the chat, Ricky Kane, Sharks fan, fellow Sharks fan. What's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. And Shazam's obviously excited, our Islanders fan in here. And Draisaitl with a good pass right in front to Nuge. And that was a breakdown, I think, by Middlestat. He should have been covering the front of the net. Yeah, that's a tough goal for the Sabres there. Got to be better than that. No excuse. Got to be better than that. And Buffalo's challenging for offsides. Hold on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. This might not be over yet. Ricky says, by the way, if you were to do a 32-team NHL from scratch, where would you put the teams? Oh, so that debate is probably a lot. I'm not going to do all 32, Ricky. But I will say that the recent, maybe we'll talk about this in another live stream. The traction around Atlanta recently, there seems to be a lot of interest in Atlanta. So, and Urban said, move Arizona to Houston. Wow. So it is no goal. And the Oilers goal taken back as it was offside. Yo, we got a super chat, $2.79 Canadian from PJ. Thank you so much again, PJ. He says, I hope the Flames make the playoffs. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I think the Flames have a chance with the way the Oilers. This is a big game for them tonight, but we'll see what happens. And again, Minnesota's kind of been an iffy team. They made some additions at the deadline, but we'll see what happens. The Coyotes are staying for the next 30 years, so the Coyotes are not moving. And if I had to choose, honestly, Houston, Atlanta, and Quebec are the 3 that I'm looking at the most. I really would like to see a team back in Quebec. I think they're gonna add a team there in, I think we're gonna see another US team before a Canadian team. But if you wanna look at honestly, if I'm looking at it realistically, if they're gonna add a team, they really talked about the imbalance of Eastern Conference and Western Conference teams for the expansion. One team in the West, one team in the East. I'm going to say Atlanta's going to be the next East team, and I'm going to say Houston's the next West team. I'd love to see a team in Quebec. I just don't think it's going to happen. The amount that they want to invest in the states right now, and I know you guys don't want to see another team in Atlanta, but if there's an ownership, I think they're going to look to do that. And if you want to look at it in another sense, depending on how things work out, they'd have to, if you're looking at if it's Houston, right, as the next West and Atlanta's the next East, you have to figure out for Quebec and like Kansas City, like could you find a way to make them the next East and West teams, right? Behind that. Yeah, I know. Ali Desh doesn't like the idea of a team in Atlanta. A lot of people are saying it's not the city of Atlanta, it's the lack of a good owner. So if they can find a good, competent owner, we could see a team back there in Atlanta. And again, they really like those southeastern markets. I could see it, guys. As crazy and ludicrous as it sounds, yeah, they only failed because of bad ownership from Ricky. I think that's what we're looking at. I do think they are going to look to do it. Exactly, Ali Dash. He says Bettman is obsessed with growing the game in non-traditional hockey markets. Yep, that's the truth. The unfortunate yet somber truth. They want to grow in non-traditional markets, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. So if I had to pick today, one team in the West, one team in the East, Houston and Atlanta is my picks, and I would be okay with that. I just want to see expansion of the league. Would I rather see a Quebec team? Of course, but the reality is it comes down to money. And they're not going to outbid, I think, Atlanta or Houston right now. Oh, so the Oilers take a penalty. Sabres. Oh, man. Wow. So the Sabres will get a power play. Let's see what happens here. Kind of a tough call, though. I don't know if I agree with that penalty. That was kind of a iffy penalty. I don't know, man. Wes McCauley with the call. That's funny. Ali Desh's NHL is going to have 44 teams by the time Kevin is done. Yeah, probably, honestly. PJ says Richie scored. Nick Ritchie scored? Oh, God. Wow. So newly acquired Nick Ritchie for the Calgary Flames scores a goal. Shout out to Nick Ritchie. And assisted by Huberdeau. Yeah, Nick Ritchie. Nick Ritchie from Huberdeau. 2 guys we talked about earlier for Calgary. That's good. Good for those guys. I'm happy that they got on the board. Maybe the goal, maybe the Kevin bump came into effect for Nick Ritchie and Huberdeau there. I'm going to say that's what it was, right? And that has to be what it is. And of course, they go to commercial break when I go to the game. Yeah, so for the most part, in terms of expansion, like I said, and the big question is, what do they rename the Atlanta team? Do they name them the Thrashers, or do they come up with something else, right? Because the team that failed, do you really want to name them that? Then there's also the Winnipeg Jets, who is that franchise. So do they want to name that franchise after a failed franchise? They can't name them the Flames because there's a team in Calgary that PJ supports with that name already. I don't know. Imagine Atlanta gets a team before Houston. I think everybody's so gun ho about Houston here. Honestly, I think Atlanta might get more traction here, and that might be what the NHL looks at, right? Like right now, who is a better stability, right? Who's going to give us better stability long term, Houston or Atlanta? Honestly, if I had to choose today, I would probably still go with Houston. The population of Houston is something that the NHL is definitely looking to tap into. The natural rivalry with the Dallas Stars, you want to talk about growing the game. The natural rivalry between Houston and Dallas, that rivalry would really be good for the game, I think. And considering the fact someday I might be moving down to Texas to the Lone Star State, I'd be down for that rivalry for sure. It would give me some pickings of who I want to pick to root for down there, either Houston or Dallas. And Ali Desh has moved Tampa. We don't need two Florida teams. I just agree with that, Ali Desh. I understand you don't want you don't like the non-traditional hockey markets. I think they're good though. They're not going to move Tampa. It's not going to happen, man. Ricky said I'd axe the Panthers. Yeah, there is reason to believe that the Panthers can move, but again, like Gary Bettman's thing, he doesn't wanna move those teams. There's too much skin in the game with those teams. He wants to yeah. You're more likely to see the Panthers move than the Lightning. Okay, yeah, Ali Desh, I think that's more Ali Desh just saying he wants them to do that, but those cup parties in the Bay, in Tampa, not much gets better than that, honestly. Ricky said, "I'd keep a team in Phoenix." The only problem with keeping a team in Phoenix is they can't seem to work out the whole building thing. That's been the big problem, right? They've had problems with the arena ownership and the partnership with them and things like that. So I don't know if that's going to work. Hopefully they get this new building set up, kind of like Ottawa. I want to see teams stay where they're at and expand. I don't want to see the relocations. I think relocations for Gary Bettman are more of like a last resort. Like I have no choice but to relocate this team. I think that's kind of what that comes down to. And sometimes it really works out because we got to see the Winnipeg Jets, right? I think that was a huge win for the Canadian market, right? Seeing an Atlanta a Southeast Division, the former Southeast Division team go to Canada. I think that was a huge win for the Canadian teams out there. I think that a lot of Canadian teams that weren't even jet in Winnipeg, right, were fans of that move just to see another team in Canada, right? PJ said, "Bro, how on earth is Richie on the power play for the Flames?" That seems like an Islanders issue where the Islanders would have like Matt Martin on the power play. That's yeah, that's Dallas Sutter at its finest, right? Loves his grinders, exactly. Guys, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab food real quick. All right, I'm back. You guys are hysterical. Between the Islanders and the Flames, who's worse with offense? Islanders or Flames? Who has the weaker offense? Because let's be honest, we both know the defensive structure is very strong for both teams. But offensively, who is lacking more? You guys are saying Flames. And shout out to Urban. Urban says, got more MRI done today. Oh, got my MRI done today. Surgeon should call tomorrow to schedule. Yeah. Shout out to Urban, guys. Have him in your thoughts. He's going to be having surgery soon. So shout out to Urban. Yeah, I think he was saying something. Yeah, everything's okay. I think it's just, yo, welcome to the chat, Jackie Moon. Welcome here. Red Wings fan in the chat on a non Red Wings live stream. That's a pretty committed guy. You guys are committed. I know you guys are committed when I do a live stream for a team other than your own. Oh, they're doing the Islanders Sabres game tomorrow, I think. That'll be a good game tomorrow. I wish I could go to UBS Arena for that one. Not going to happen. But I did go to the game on Sunday again, or Saturday against the Red Wings. The Red Wings looked awful. Now, I do know that they lost a lot of guys. They lost Sundqvist, Hronek, um, Bertuzzi, but they did not look good. And Jackie Moon can agree with me here. Yo, what's going on? He said, driving home from electrical class, figured I'd stop in. Good for you. Electrical class. That's a trade, right? Is that for electrician? Shout out to Jackie Moon going with the trade route. Good move. Good move, my man. Ali Dash, don't text and drive. You already know. And guys, if you have not already, make sure to like the stream. We're going to try and get this. I want to get to 20 likes by the end of this stream. That's my goal. Put the damn phone down. You guys are good. Urban, you forgot to like the video. So let's take a look because I'm kind of interested. Who has the worst goals for in the league? It's got to be the Islanders or the Flames, right? It has to be one of those two teams. PJ says if we get 20 likes on the stream, Cav has to eat a spicy pepper. Okay. You're on. You're on, PJ. I'll eat a spicy pepper for 20 likes. Yeah, good for you, Jackie Moon. Now put down the damn phone because you're driving home. You could keep watching us and listen, but we don't need you getting in an accident. Just make sure you like the video before you put your phone down. Okay. So it's been a quiet game for the most part. The Sabres and the Red Wings, the Sabres and the Oilers, not really much going on in terms of goals. We had a goal earlier, taken back. So let's see what happens here. Ali Deshes, does Kev have a spicy pepper on deck? No, I don't. So that would have to be later on. It's not a right now thing. I do have regular peppers. I like eating peppers after I eat dinner. It helps my stomach out, keeps the bloating down. But other than that, I do not have a regular spicy pepper. Yeah, for later. I want to see. I'm kind of interested. Who has the worst goals for? Uh-oh. It could be Columbus. Actually, that's a good point. So no Oilers penalty there. No penalty for the Oilers. My phone is so freaking slow. Let's see. I'm trying to get to it. I'm probably better off looking it up on my computer. This is gonna take forever. Let's see. What do we got? Helly Dash says now you have to fund Kevin for a new phone. Why is that? Why do I need a new phone? My phone is good. No, it's the Wi. Oh, you're saying yeah, the Wi-Fi connection is terrible though, Ali Dash, in this part of my room. Yeah, it's my Wi-Fi connection is brutal, Ali Dash, at this point. That's why we have problems with the live stream so much. Is the connection in my room is terrible. Why don't you hook up an Ethernet? I don't even know what that is, PJ. I'll have to look that up. It sounds like something that's like run a Cat 5. All right, I'll look that up. Oh, hardware. Oh, okay. Now I know what that is. Okay. You guys are coming up with I thought you said Ethereum for a minute. I was like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Okay. That makes more sense. Putting it in now. All right. So, what do we got here? Goals for, goals against. So the Islanders, let's start off there. So the Islanders are 22nd in the league for goals for. So they're not dead last. Not bad. Now let's take a look at Calgary. What do we got for Calgary? What'd you guys say? It won't help your phone. It's a wire that goes from your router to your PC directly. Oh, but run a wire from the mode to your computer. I thought it was old, and I've been on Ethernet for 14 years. Oh, and we changed providers, and it isn't as bad, but he still has a cable for extra strength. Okay, that's what I'll look into then, Dash. Thank you for that. So the Islanders' goals for 22nd in the league. What do we have for the Flames? 20th in the league. So technically, the Flames have better goaltending than the Islanders. Just barely, though. The Flames' goals for 194 goals for this season. And for the Islanders, they obviously have less than that with 188. So the Flames have 6 more goals than the Islanders this season, which raises the question of who is last in the league. Because if the Islanders and the Flames are that high, that means there's 8 to 10 teams that have worse goals for this season than the Islanders and the Flames. And again, I probably assume the Blue Jackets are toward the bottom here too. Yeah, and PJ saying CBJ. So believe it or not, the Blue Jackets don't even have the worst goals for. They are 30th in the league for goals for. So that makes me wonder if it's the Flyers. Let's take a look at the Flyers. The Flyers, so somebody has less goals this season than the Flyers and the Blue Jackets. 2 teams. That concerning for a multitude of reasons. Is it hold on. You know what it probably is? It's probably Arizona, and Chicago. Let's take a look. So Arizona's 28th. Wow. So Chicago has the worst goals for in the league. They only have 153 goals this season. Urban says lowest goals for. I'm going wild. They got Kaprizov. They can't. They score too many goals, Urban. They actually are pretty low, though. The Wild are 25th in the NHL for goals for, but they're fourth in the NHL for goals against. Minnesota can keep the puck out of the net, which is important. No, Urban, the most goals allowed is actually Chicago, which probably isn't that right. But the only thing that's weird, though, they did have Kane on that team. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but yeah, Chicago's right there. They've really been bad this season. Seth Jones now leads the team with 29 points. Yeah, that's really bad. And again, a lot of that's because of Patrick Kane. They traded out DeBrincat. So I get that. But yeah, and Seth Jones isn't even playing that well. He might be one of the worst contracts in the league, and he's leading the team in points. Yikes. And Max Domi scores, right? Is that happen here, Ali Dush? I assume that the Dallas Stars have scored. And you know what? You're right, Urban. The reason that the Blue Jackets might not have that many goals against is Elvis Merzlikins. The way he's been playing the last like 2 months here in the beginning of this year, he has been really good. Oh, no, I was saying Domi left Chicago. Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, in response to Jones. Oh, okay. Okay. Now I got you. I got you. Yeah, I'm probably going to need this Ethernet thing because to play this video at the moment, yeah. What is going on? I'd love to say it's ESPN Plus that's the problem, but I don't think it is. Yeah, Seth Jones is signed to such a long deal. And what is an interesting thought for the Blackhawks is Caleb Jones is an RFA this summer. Do they keep Caleb Jones? Like, is it worth keeping that brother connection with how bad they've been? I kind of wonder what's going to happen there. Now, the fact they didn't trade him at the deadline maybe makes me think that they do want to keep him, but no way. Did they just cancel my ESPN Plus? What? They might have just shut off my ESPN Plus. I don't know what happened. Oh, okay, it's on. That was weird. So we're at the end of the second period, 1-1 game in Buffalo. So I know Ali Desh's thoughts on this. My thoughts on what are your I know Ali Desh's thoughts on this, but what are your guys' thoughts on NHL 23 franchise mode commentary? If you guys are interested in that, let me know down below because I might be doing that this summer. Once things slow down on the regular season and the Oilers score, wow. And I think that's Zach Hyman. But let me know your guys' thoughts on if you want to see a franchise mode commentary this summer because I'm looking for content maybe over the summer, in the dog days of summer. So let me know what you guys think of that. I might look to do that at some point. And Ali Dash says, Kevin, I'll DM you my Sportsnet login info if you can watch the games. Okay, thank you, Ali Dash. I'll look into that. Ali Dash says, when there's no hockey to watch, I'll watch you. Okay, thank you, Ali Dash. And Urban kind of, going in with that too. Okay. Oh, that's a tough goal. Derek Ryan, his 11th of the season. That was a big goal for the Oilers at the end of the period. Yeah, Buffalo's gonna pepper him with shots here, and a good both of these teams are playing quite well defensively. A 2-1 game after 2. Honestly, you really can't ask for much better than that. But the Sabres definitely shut it down in the second period, like half the scoring opportunities. Really good period by the Sabres, but they're up short right now. What's going on, Don? He said, "What up, sir? How you doing tonight?" I'm doing very well, Don. Thank you for asking. Don from the Bronx. Shout out to our tri-state area brethren. Jackie Moon says, "Ha, guy said Ethereum." Yeah, when he said Ethernet, I really didn't know what that was. Oh, when Ali Dash says Sens and Hawks are underway. Thank you, Ali Dash. Yes, I'll be watching that game in a second because we're at the end of the Oilers Sabres second period. So we will be watching that in between periods. And that's it. So the Oilers head into the locker room with a 2-1 lead over the Buffalo Sabres. And it was a guy other than McDavid or Draisaitl scoring in this one. Zach Hyman with a goal. Not too bad. Yeah, the Bedard sweepstakes, the Senators versus the Blackhawks. Let's see how this goes. Don with a great question. He said, someone on Twitter I saw yesterday or the day before said that maybe New Era could be the new NHL jersey manufacturer. That's really interesting. And I don't know what's going on with the TSN coverage, but the screen looks really weird. I don't know if it's the camera or what it is, but I don't know what's going on here. It's very odd. Yeah, I think New Era could be good. But again, I didn't think Adidas was gonna be good either, and that actually turned out to be pretty good. So, it's kind of a wait and see. The way they did I mean, they've definitely raised the standard in terms of jerseys because I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I'd love to see them go back to Reebok or CCM. I think those are the hockey brands for jerseys, in all honesty. With that said, though, am I completely against the idea of New Era? Not necessarily. And Ali Dash just says a hard no, pretty much. And I get that. But I'm a little open to the idea. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm not 1,000% against it. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you guys a fan of New Era maybe taking over as the jersey sponsorship? And like I said, the way that Adidas raised the standard with the reverse retro series, it's been very successful for the NHL to where they did it twice here in the past 5 years. So, not even 5 years. So, I'm really looking at this thing as, this is a moneymaker for the NHL. These jerseys are incredible and I'm a fan of it. Hopefully, they do it again. The reverse retro thing might go off for a little bit here. They might take a break from it just because now we've done it twice in 3 years, 4 years. Um, but like I said, going into maybe 2 years from now, we could see something from New Era or whoever takes over. Don said, I love New Era for the fitted hats and snapbacks, but for the jersey manufacturer not feeling it to the NHL should stay with Adidas. I don't think the Adidas is interested in staying with the NHL. I think that's the problem with Adidas. I don't think they saw as much money as they thought they would see, which is kind of weird, but I guess Adidas doesn't want to keep the negotiation. They're not even negotiating, I don't think. So like I said, I'd love to see. Maybe I'm old fashioned or traditional, but CCM and Reebok are really where it's at for the NHL. Ideally, CCM. Let's be honest. And I think they're still the AHL sponsor for jerseys. Is CCM, and they have some really nice designs for the AHL. Ali Desh, it's funny you mentioned CCM. I was watching a podcast a few months ago, and they were saying they thought there was some potential leak regarding CCM or an older style company coming back. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah, I think a lot of people clamor for the days of CCM jerseys back, but and what's funny is a lot of the companies that were around then, right? Who was Starter, Coho, those days are kind of over. So we'll see what happens from that. And he says it's from TSN or something like that. Okay. So 4-on-4 in Chicago. Timmy Stutzlo he just looks so calm and poised with the puck. As really the emergence of Timmy Stutzla is very, very endearing. I think there's a lot to like about what he's going to do there, and maybe the one I would say downside to this team for the Senators, I mean, maybe other than goaltending, is Eric Brandstrom. But other than that, the Senators it's been a pretty good stretch for them. Like we talked about, Giroux, one of the leaders in points for 2023, really impressive there. Oh, and the Blackhawks, who is that? Good chance. Oh, great save there. So the Senators on shorthanded almost give up well, they gave up a breakaway, almost gave up a goal. I saw number 89 and I was like, wait, I thought Kane isn't there anymore. Sad to see you. Never mind. I'm really happy Ottawa made that move. I think that was a good pickup for them, bringing in Chikrin. It sends a good message to that team. I think that, I mean, the price was incredible nonetheless, but they got a really good hockey player in Chikrin. And I think as long as that guy can freaking stay healthy, if he can stay healthy, I think that the Senators next year, I watched Steve Eisman's press conference the other day, and he was talking about how he looks at the Red Wings right now and what their window of opportunity for playoffs and things like that is. And you're really looking at, Yzerman isn't looking to compete with the Lightning or the Leafs or the Bruins for that matter. He's looking at the window of teams that are going to compete in the next 5 and 6 years. And when those teams are maybe having to retool or rebuild, he's kind of putting his team in the Red Wings up against Buffalo, Ottawa, and Montreal. And of those four teams, Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo, and Montreal, I have to say right now, probably the Senators are the team that I'm the most confident in moving forward. And maybe the Sabres are very close behind, but both of those teams, a lot of promise there. And at the time, it kind of looked weird when Giroux went there. Obviously, it's his hometown, and that's really the main reason. But obviously, that hasn't been a contending team for a while. They promised Giroux, if you sign here, we are going to build a contender around you, and they're kind of fulfilling that promise right now with bringing in Chikrin, adding guys like I mean, not that Patrick Brown is that great of a player, but a bottom they have delivered on their promises, right? We wanted to add a bottom six center. They bring in Patrick Brown for a sixth round pick. They promised they would try to fix the defense. They bring in Jacob Chikrin. Those are the kind of things that you're looking at if you're a Senators fan. That we've all given Pierre Dorian a lot of heat and a lot of crap. He's done a really good job for the Senators here over the past really year and a half, 2 years. When things even when things didn't look that great, he's found a way to kind of pull through for his group. Urban says Markstrom, Campbell, Merzlikins have been too garbage all year. Who's worse? Um, Campbell, Merzlikins, or Markstrom? Who's worse? Okay, so I kind of look at them all pretty much the same. The difference is my expectations for Merzlikins are way lower than Jack Campbell or Markstrom. Honestly, I'm the most disappointed in Jacob Markstrom, and I think PJ would agree with me. I think Markstrom just struggled. I mean, he's mentioning right now this game is the first time Markstrom didn't let a goal in the first period this season. I mean, Jacob Markstrom, that is not the typical form of Jacob Markstrom. A starting goaltender, this is the first time he's ever gone through a first period without giving up a goal. I mean, that right there is all mental. A lot of that is mental. It gets in his head. All right, I know I'm going to give up that first goal. And it's almost in his head at this point. And I think that is very dangerous. And kind of when you look at a team like the Flames, who are supposed to be very defensive minded, defensive structure, not a ton of goal scoring, that's a huge thing. So if I had to, yeah, it's definitely the most disappointment, I would say, is definitely Markstrom by far. Flames and Stars, what do we got here? That's a bad goal by Ottinger. What's up with Jake Ottinger? He has not looked the same. Hopefully, he's ready to go for the playoffs if they make it, but he has not looked like his usual form. Urban says all three have been so bad. I mean, CBJ is last place and got Johnny Hockey. Yeah. And you know, that one still puzzles me and everybody. I think his wife had a lot to say about him going to Columbus. I can't say that for certain, but a lot of people have kind of said that. Urban says if Andre can rediscover his game, Dallas could surprise a lot of people. Yeah, I think that's the thing with Dallas, right? Like when they were at the top of the division earlier this year, it was a lot because of Ottinger and that he just didn't give up many goals. Dallas wasn't scoring a ton of goals; he just didn't give up any. And then we started to see that kind of turn around. And the first time I noticed that was that game against the Rangers in MSG. They gave up a goal with like less than a second left, lost the game, and it seems like ever since then the Dallas Stars have been kind of shaky. I'm not saying that game is the reason why, but they just you could tell that there was a noticeable shift in the way the Stars have kind of been playing recently. Yeah, Urban says Dallas all depends on Otter. Yeah, exactly. Keith Yandel on Sportsnet. That's pretty cool. I remember when the Rangers traded for Keith Yandel. We had a snowstorm here on Long Island, and I remember watching that. And I thought that was like, oh, as an Islander fan, I was like, oh, I really hope the Rangers don't make the move. And they did end up getting him. And then Yandel was traded to the Rangers, and that's where Anthony Duclair, the young prospect from the Rangers, ended up going the other way to Arizona. It's kind of funny how things have kind of worked out since then. And the Bruins are on pace for 136 points. How crazy is that? That's like unheard of. Wow. Yeah, 136 points. That is like, and the Jets, Nino Niederreiter with a goal. Yeah, the Jets got to find their game. The Jets are really concerning. And I made a video about them the other day, but man, yeah, that Ottinger goal is definitely a little concerning. He should have had that puck. Yo, we got a super chat from Ange, thank you for the dollar super chat. Hey, you. Of course. That's what you're known as now. So, guys, if you can, make sure to like the stream. Like the stream if you can. Trying to get up to 20 likes to make me eat a spicy pepper, but it's not happening. I'm not getting another 9 likes. I don't think it's happening here, PJ. Urban said, I wonder if the Wild play Gustafson most of the rest of the way if people will include him in the Vesna voting. I don't know. That's going to be really difficult. I think it's going to be hard to get him in there. Impossible, but I think it's going to be a climb. Oh, Urban says his numbers are insane. Is that true? Let me take a look. And that's the other thing. Like, if Philip Gustafson has played that many games, that helps, right? Because some people will say, "Oh, well, he didn't play enough games to get that attention." No, that if he's played 36 games, that's pretty good. Yo, we got a super chat from Ange. Thank you for the $50 super chat. I think she's just happy that I said I'm going to end the stream in 15 minutes. So Gustafson's stats right now, he's got 29 games this season, 17 wins, a 1.99 goals against average, and a 933 save percentage. That is actually that's a really good point there, Urban. And I know you're a Wild fan, so that's why. Gustafson should be getting more attention than I think he should be getting more attention than he has been, honestly. And Howie Dash says, Angela looking to upgrade the soundboard or what? Yeah. Yeah, honestly, Urban, I kind of agree with you. Everyone is kind of sleeping on him right now. I got to be honest, and I didn't really know that he was playing that well. Wow. I'm just happy he's not on the Penguins right now because they drafted him. Ali Desh says Gus's nickname in Ottawa was Gus the Bus. I do remember hearing that because he went back and forth between Ottawa and Belleville so much. Belleville is our AHL affiliate. Yep. My first ever AHL game it might have been Bridgeport, but the first one I remember was the Hershey Bears versus the Binghamton Senators. And that was the first time I'd ever seen 3-on-3 overtime because they started testing 3-on-3 overtime in the American Hockey League. And I don't know if Gustafson, oh no, I guess he was in Belleville at the point, but I think it was like 2014 or 2016, somewhere around then. Binghamton, New York. Beaverton, Binghamton, New York. It's spelt like it sounds. All right, so we're getting ready for the third period in Buffalo. The Sabres and the Oilers, and it is 2-1 Edmonton. They had a goal turned back, so this game really could be 3-1 Edmonton. But I guess that's a good thing because that means for a pretty good third period. I remember the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. Yeah, I think the Islanders really messed up changing that name. I think the Bridgeport Islanders is way more lame. And it made so much sense if you guys don't know the geographic reason for that. So the reason they're called the Bridgeport Sound Tigers is the Islanders play on Long Island, okay? And Bridgeport's in Connecticut. And what separates, if you look on a map, Long Island, the gap between Long Island and Connecticut is called the Long Island Sound. And That's why they were the Sound, right? The Sound Tigers. And the reason they do that is, well, they're playing in the AHL, and there's the Sound Tigers crossing the Long Island Sound, going to play for the Islanders. And that was a really good name for the team that they kind of messed up with. I think the Islanders rebrand has not really worked well for Bridgeport. I still call them the Bridgeport Islanders, the Bridgeport Sound Tigers for the most part, because it doesn't ring as well as the Islanders. But yes, that is why they used to be called. Yeah, Ali Dash, they really messed it up, right? The Bridgeport Sound Tigers. It was a perfect name geographically, everything else, and they messed it up. And McDavid with a really good chance to start the third. Watch out here. McDavid might be getting a goal. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, you guys are. Yeah, it's a really good name. And I don't think a lot of people outside of New York, I mean, I don't even think a lot of Islander fans know or even care about the Sound Tigers, but that's why they were called the Sound Tigers. Yeah. And the jersey and the logo was really nice too. It just fit. And Ellie Desch says, and their nickname is the Baby Sens, even dumber. Yeah, a lot of teams do that. Like the Penguins did that with Wilkes-Barre Scranton. They're the Baby Penguins. And Buffalo ties it. That's a goal. And Dylan Cousins scores, but that's one that Skinner is going to want back. That's a tough goal for Edmonton. Yep, Urban says the Iowa Wild, same thing. So many teams do that. It's so boring and cliche. It's not good. Yeah. No, Dylan Cousins. Dylan Cousins with the goal for the Buffalo Sabres to tie the game at 1. It was a really nice play, but Stuart Skinner, you got to save that, my man. That is a bad goal. Bad play defensively by the Oilers. That's Draisaitl. Draisaitl not good in his own end, and Dylan Cousins ties the game at 2. His 24th goal of the season. Wow. And Ali Dash has Calgary Flames, Abbotsford Heat, different names, same concept that I like. I'm okay with that. And even like the Ducks, right? The Anaheim Ducks and the San Diego Gulls, like at least it's the same concept, but it's not the exact same name. At least there was at least a spark of IQ involved, where it's just not copy and paste the same name. So yeah, there you go, Ali Dash, San Jose Sharks and Barracuda. I actually like the Barracuda name. I do actually like that one. That is actually a pretty good one. Like I like Edmonton's, the Bakersfield Condors. That's a cool one, and the logo is sick. I really like Edmonton's AHL team. And guys, thank you for getting the likes up. We're up to 12 likes. Thank you so much for that, guys. We're trying to get to 20 likes here tonight. We'll see if we can do it here in the next couple of minutes. Stockton Heat. Are they in Stockton? Oh, that completely blew by me, because now the Abbotsford team is, yeah, the Abbotsford again, the Abbotsford Canucks. Like you couldn't have come up with anything new. Even the Devils, the Binghamton Devils, that one's not any good. The Devils used to have a team called, I'm trying to remember where it was. Yes. So the Devils AHL affiliate, and you guys could look up the logo. It is really nice. It was the Hudson Valley River Rats, and it was like it was a rat. It was a pretty cool logo. Maybe not the best name, but the River Rats, and it kind of fits because they're right on the Hudson River, so the River Rats. I really like the Devils' old AHL name. That was a really good one. And of course, the Hershey Bears is my favorite. That nothing's gonna beat that. Chocolate and hockey and jerseys, it doesn't get much better and more unique than that. Ali Desch is worth noting. Montreal Canadiens and Vancouver Canucks mean the same thing. Yeah, it is kind of a funny. That is a good point there, Ali Desch. Yeah, it's the same. You could say the same. Like you could, those are interchangeable. And Edmonton scores, and I just said to watch out for McDavid, and the goal line hockey bump strikes for the third time tonight as Connor McDavid gives the Oilers the lead. It's a 3-2 game. Things are picking up here in the third, guys. And Ali Desh asks, what state is Hershey in? Hershey, Pennsylvania. And it's actually a town. It's an entire town, Hershey, Pennsylvania. There's a lot to do in Hershey. I usually take at least one pilgrimage to Hershey every year. A lot to do there. They have an amusement park. They have the hockey team. They have a lot going on down there. It's a lot of fun. Definitely worth a visit. And that's why it's easy for me because it's Pennsylvania. It's 3 hours from where I live. It's not too bad. Yeah, Ali Desh. It's chocolate, amusement parks, and hockey. Like it doesn't get much better than that. Ali Dash, look it up. Look up Hershey Park. They have a lot of cool stuff to do. And even if you want to take your son there at some point, it's really nice. So we'll see what happens here. This game has definitely picked up the intensity. 3-2 Edmonton, Draisaitl coming down. And it seems like the defensive side of the game is kind of being lost now. Seems like both teams are much more aggressive offensively. Oh my God. And Edmonton almost scored again. Urban says beer and hockey is all I need. And pizza. Okay. That's a pretty good argument there. So things are picking up in this game. I like what I've seen so far from the Oilers and Sabres in this one. That was a bad play by Anderson, though. He definitely should have been more square to the puck. And just gave up a bad rebound. That would have been a tough goal. I'm kind of interested to see what happens the rest of the way here for the Sabres because they didn't like the Red Wings. You kind of know they're not going to make the playoffs. They're way too far out, it seems like, and they've lost a lot of guys. Buffalo added at the deadline. So I kind of look at the way the Sabres look right now. It's kind of interesting. They didn't do much, like one way or the other, but if they make the playoffs here, that would be really a good. I'm surprised they didn't go after a goalie, honestly. And maybe that's something they'll address in the summer with the success they're seeing from this team. And they're like, the one thing we need is a goalie. I wonder if Buffalo goes after a big goalie this year. Like they look at John Gibson. It seems like Jake Dostal is the next guy in Anaheim. So Gibson, Thatcher Demko, UC Saros. There's a couple of goalies in the Western Conference that could move this summer. And I wonder if Buffalo kind of takes a swing at any of those guys. And Ali Dash says Chicago scores on just their third shot. Oof. Tough break for the Sens. Number 29. Do we even know who that is? Is that like Gust or something? I forgot his name. Saros and Gibson are intriguing. Yeah. I really, and again, Demko could be in the Kurashev. Number 23. Okay. Thank you for the update, Ali Dash. So it's 1-0 out in Chicago. Despite the Senators dominating, the storyline is kind of the same for the Senators. A tough one there. We'll see if they can come back, though. They've had a couple of games like that where they're not playing well in the first 40 minutes, and then they end up winning the game in the third. So we'll see what happens in Chicago. But yeah, obviously UC Saros. I think Predators fans hate the idea of trading Saros, but if they're really starting a rebuild here, they're trading out Niederreiter, Ekholm, things like that. You do kind of wonder, if there's a really good package from a team like Buffalo where they don't need the prospects and draft picks, if they were to make that kind of move, you have to kind of consider it. I think there's something to be said there. And they could outbid a lot of the teams that could be interested in this group of goalies, right? Like Saros or Gibson, because Pittsburgh, I think, could be interested, but are they willing to give up the prospects? Do they have the prospects? Are they willing to trade the first round picks, right? Buffalo's in a spot where I think they are more willing to move those assets. And we kind of saw the Senators do that with Chikrin. So maybe Buffalo's next this summer to make that big move. I look at Detroit, maybe not Detroit because they've got Sebastian Cossa waiting in the wings, so maybe not. And a 2-on-1 here for the Oilers. Let's say that was a terrible play by Draisaitl. Chicago is 13-6-3 when scoring first this season. Who knew? That could be a benefit there for you, Ali Dash. There's a chance. They're 13-12. That's really pretty bad. That's a good chance there for the Senators, right? The Oilers look like they're on a power play. And Craig Anderson is bailing his team out, giving them every opportunity to win this hockey game. Shout out to Craig Anderson, man, and he's a little annoyed. Oh my God. Ali Dash said, "Where did you learn math?" Yikes. They're 13-9 combined. 13-9. Okay. I was a little bit off, Ali Dash. Yes. I learned math from school. That's the exact answer right there. And that's exactly the problem, right? What other games do we got? So the Senators game, I think, is on. Let's see what's going on there. Ali Dash says, "Is your dog still in the room?" Yes, he is, Ali Dash. He is. He's by the door, probably about to cry. Oh, it's intermission in Ottawa. Guys, what game would you like to watch right now? Because we're waiting for the Sabres game. At this point, I'll probably watch the Sabres game. What do you guys want to talk about? Let me know down below. I just know the second I turn on the Flames in Dallas game, I know the Sabres game is gonna turn back on. Ali Dash, I know, but he is not he thinks I want to play when I try to put him on the screen and he starts barking and getting mad. So as much as I'd love to put the puppy on the screen, maybe at some point, maybe I'll do a puppy cam where like if he's sitting in a certain spot, I'll turn on the camera so you guys can see him. So Connor McDavid with 2 goals, 3 shots, and has won 8 of 12 faceoffs. How old is he? I think he's 4. He still acts like a 6-month-old puppy, though. Oh, jeez. Yeah, he's not. Hold on. We're trying to get the puppy in. Get the likes up, guys, for the puppy. Come here. You got to jump up here. They can't see you, buddy. Don't you want to see the people? The people want to see you. You're a little star, but you gotta jump up here. There's a lot of shots in this game. 34 shots for the Oilers, 31 for Buffalo. That honestly for a goaltending group that hasn't been that great recently, they're I mean maybe a little bit on Anderson. He's been very good, but come here, buddy. They can't see you from there, though. Now I'm going to eat your marshmallow. Seems like things are locking down a little bit more in this game as we get into the final 10 minutes. I think that right now, Edmonton's just fine. But again, the way they've handled leads throughout most of this season, who really knows? Yeah. Puppy's too short. I don't think we're going to get him in here. Worth a try. All right, guys. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to be doing a live stream on Wednesday or Thursday night. I'll let you guys know throughout the week. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.